There's a lot holding us back in life, and we might not even notice that it is happening. So I wanted to make this video to talk about some of the things that I noticed in my own life and have quit. Doing so has brought me a lot of clarity and a lot of peace and freedom. And so I thought maybe it would inspire you to do the same. Yearly goals. I used to do goals every year. So in December, I would really think about and reflect on my year, and then I would create goals for the rest of the year. And they were specific goals that had to do with my big picture, but they were goals that I needed to accomplish by the end of 12 months. I read this book called The 12-Week Year, and I'm sure you've heard about it. If you haven't, then you should definitely check it out. I'll put a link in the description to the book. That really inspired me to start thinking about my years in 12-week chunks, 90 days, quarterly. Instead of trying to accomplish something in one year, I think about accomplishing things in those 90 days. I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of dreams, and I'm very ambitious. I feel that doing the yearly goals, it kills spontaneity. You're really thinking about things like a year is a really, really long time. And I think that it's too rigid. And it seems counterproductive because you're thinking like, oh, you have to accomplish all this within 12 weeks, within 3 months. And that seems rigid. But it seems to have the opposite effect. Stuff happens in life. You can get inspired, you can get an opportunity, and anything can happen within a year. A year is a really, really long time, but 3 months is not as long. And I mean, literally, it's not as long. I think that can be really motivating to be proactive on your dreams, your projects, and your ambitions. Now, instead of doing yearly goals, I focus on 3-month chunks, and I focus on doing the most that I can in those 90 days. Because let's face it, I have no idea where I'm going to be a year from now. I mean, I can dream and I can speculate and I can make plans and I can be there at the end of the year, but anything can happen, health things can happen, opportunities can happen, life can radically change from one moment to the next. So how can you expect there to be a constant environment for you to accomplish your goals and your dreams within the time period of a year? There's too many variables there. So I feel so much better about my projects and I feel better about my accomplishments looking at my life in these 90-day chunks instead of 12 months. The next thing that I quit is excessive social media consumption. I'm sure that does not come as a surprise to any of you who are following my channel for a while now. I spent way too many hours on social media, and part of that was I did have a social media agency for about 4-ish years. So I was doing social media for my clients, and then outside of that, I was doing social media for myself, for my YouTube channel, for my acting, for my film studio. So I was consumed by social media for my career and for work and for my projects. And then on top of that, I was also spending recreational time on social media. My social time was on the internet as well. So really there was no escape from it. And I went into the extreme deep end, and I realized that social media, it steals so much time and so much energy. And until I was outside, I felt it, but until I was outside of that bubble, I didn't realize what it was that was doing that to me. And on this channel, I talk a lot about digital minimalism and decluttering and all that. And I really want to emphasize the fact that social media in itself, it's not inherently evil. It's not something that can be a bad part of your life, but I think that it's important to find balance, and it's important to realize what parts of social media are draining your time and your energy that maybe you aren't even realizing that it is happening. And it's something that is taking you away from accomplishing some of your biggest dreams. When you spend too much time on social media, it impairs your focus. You can lose focus. You're distracted constantly, and there's no flow state. You aren't allowing yourself to enter that flow state that you need to enter in order to do your best work. And that can be your best work creatively. It could be your best work in your hobby. Like, we're not just talking about money here in business and career. Any activity that you take part in, if you are constantly checking social media, you don't realize it, but it is taking you away from that flow state that you need to be the best at whatever it is that you are doing and investing your time in, because you're dividing your attention between what you are doing and what you're focusing on and what you're trying to put your energy into. You're dividing it up between that and mindless scrolling and social media. What I did was I removed 80% of the apps that I had on my phone, and I became more conscious of my usage on social media and on my phone in general. And that really helped me to transition into more of a no social media lifestyle. So I still use social media. I'm on Twitter or X a lot, and I enjoy social media. I enjoy hanging out with my friends. They host spaces on Twitter, and so I still hang out with them. I use Instagram for DMs. I talk to people on there. Even if I don't post on there, I still engage with some of my friends on there because that's how they communicate. I didn't completely eliminate social media from my life, but I did eliminate the parts of it that were destroying my life. Anyway, I hope that inspires you. The third thing that I quit to simplify my life is overthinking actions. So I am very analytical. I love to study things a lot, and nuance is very important to me. Thinking about things, thinking about what I'm going to say, thinking about what I'm going to do before I actually do it. These are things that are important to me, and I don't think that they are necessarily bad. So I think that it is good to think about things, to think about how you act before you act. But I do slip into this overthinking status, and the overthinking, it can lead to inaction. And I think in general, it can be something that's very dangerous. So what I did in order to combat that is I asked myself, is this good enough? I wrote a blog post about Minecrafting it. So if you want to read that, it's on my website. Basically, the gist of it is the creator of Minecraft, he created that game with the least amount of features possible, and it was very basic. And so over time, as more players joined the game, he added more features and made it more complex. And so I like to think about life and my projects in that way. What is the simplest way to go about this thing? I ask myself that question about for anything, if I'm cleaning the house, if I'm working on a big project, if I'm executing on a new business idea, if I'm working on a YouTube video, I'm thinking, what is the simplest way to do this? And I think about that before I even jump into doing anything. And then after I've gotten kind of like 80% of the way through the action, I think, is this good enough? And if it isn't, then, I do a little bit more, I iterate, and then I ask myself that question again. But if I can say, yes, it's good enough, then I move on from there. And I think that really helps in avoiding the loss of opportunities, because again, if I'm overthinking things, then sometimes those opportunities can get lost. If somebody presents an opportunity to you and you have to go through every single possible scenario in order to come up with a decision on whether or not you're going to get involved in that opportunity, then it might lead to you losing that opportunity. Again, inaction, right? That's something that just really helped me to simplify my life in general, not overthink things too much. I still think that it's important to think about things, But overthinking is a key word here. And something that I think that you shouldn't overthink is subscribing to this channel. You see what I did there? I just like smoothed into that like butter. But seriously, if you are thinking about subscribing to this channel, then don't overthink it. Just hit that subscribe button, because I make videos like this where I talk about minimalism and phone addiction and how to curb that, and kind of making yourself a little bit better each day, right? Self-actualizing. So if you like the sound of that, then definitely hit the subscribe button. The next thing that I got rid of is toxic relationships. Again, if you've been watching my videos for a while, then you know that I've talked about this a couple of times. The negativity is something that I just like, I've come to a point where it's very difficult for me to tolerate negativity in general. So I try to create a positive atmosphere in my friends, with my thoughts and my feelings and my home life. Toxic relationships, relationships that bring in negativity into your life, they're so draining and they take up so much time. And it's like, I only have so many years to live on Earth, and I would like to live them to the fullest and not have this dark energy surrounding me. If I can control that and I can get rid of that, then that's fantastic. And that's something that I've done. And if you're finding that your circle of friends are kind of contributing to that dark cloud that I was talking about, then maybe you want to watch this other video that I did where I talk about the network detox, because I break down more of how I got rid of toxic relationships and how you can as well. And I don't want to derail this video too much by diving too much into how I did that. But so watch that video if you want to know more about that. I think that having toxic relationships just brings in so much unnecessary drama into life. Like, life is already dramatic enough as it is. I don't need more of it. That's just, it's a waste of time, right? It's wasted time, it's wasted energy, and I don't have time for that. They're out. I've constructed my own world. I've built my own universe, and that's something that you can do too. You can build your own universe. You don't have to conform or swallow something that you despise. You can create a universe that is catered to what you need and what you want and how you want to live your life, because that's what I've done, and you are either in it or you ain't. And I really don't care otherwise, because if I'm happy, if I'm enjoying life, if my loved ones are happy and healthy, then we're Gucci, we're fine, right? So I focus on finding relationships that add value to my life, that sustain this level of happiness and peace and freedom, and just people that I can vibe with, and not people that I'm arguing with, or people who are always bringing negativity or like drama into my life. There's enough of that already that comes into life naturally, so I don't need any more added onto it. Daily digital distractions, that's a little bit different than social media consumption, because with social media consumption, I'm thinking more like mindless scrolling. I'm thinking about investing my time and my energy in things I wouldn't have invested in normally. Whereas digital distractions is more so getting phone calls, getting pinged through text messages, WhatsApp, this and that, and all these other messaging apps. Getting phone calls when I don't need to. I don't like spending a bunch of time talking on the phone about something that could have been resolved over an email kind of thing. And emails is another one that is also a distraction for a lot of people. It's more of a reaction instead of an investment. So when the phone dings, boops, whatever, that is and I pick it up, that's a reaction, right? Instead of investing my time properly into something. So like if my friends are sending me things to look at or watch, like on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, those are all distractions, because I'm just reacting to something that they sent instead of actually taking the time to watch or listen to whatever I want to, like doing it with intention, right? Do you see where I'm getting at here? Those distractions, it causes you to lose focus. Just feeling like, okay, if I don't look at this, then, I'm not responding to my friend's message. But to me, I think it's a lot more engaging when my friends send me something, like a video or something, and then add a little context to it. Like, tell me why you're sending me this thing, not just making me consume the feed by proxy, right? Because if you just send me like a link and then you give me no context for why you sent it, then I'm like, okay, this is like scrolling through social media, but via my text messages or my emails or whatever. I tell my friends like, hey, I don't really like engage in too much social media, or hey, like I haven't really had an opportunity to look at the thing or whatever. Like if they are bugging me about it, then I set those boundaries with them. And most of my friends, like they know I don't really spend too much time on social media and stuff. And so I don't have that problem as much anymore because I've set up those barriers. But I think that creating mental barriers is a lot more effective because it's something that you can control. You can't really control whether your friend sends you a reel or a short or not, but you can control how you react to it. So I think that creating those barriers is really helpful towards not feeling like you have to constantly check your messages and react to messages right away. Like sometimes I'll go days without responding to text messages, and my friends, they know that I'm fine, right? So because I've created that lifestyle, and so people know not to expect me right away. And so I think that instead, I prefer to fill up my time with things that matter to me, things that add value to my life, the projects that I am invested in and that I want to work on. So instead of getting distracted, I'd rather spend more time on my children's book that I'm working on publishing, read a book, or like intentionally watch a movie or a video or partake in a master class or something. I'd rather do that instead of just constantly reacting to the beeps and the boops. Something that I've been trying to be better at is multitasking, because I previously used to think that I was getting a lot done. It feels like you are productive when you do more than one or two things at the same time, but really I got less done. And so I decided to just kind of eliminate multitasking. I felt like it just added stress because I felt like I needed to accomplish two things at the same time. Like I'm some kind of goddess who has like 6 arms and I have to do everything at the same time. So it was too much. And so now I'm more subscribed to the soft living lifestyle that just has less stress, better quality. And I just think about doing one task at a time. And so I try to focus on the one thing and try to finish that one thing instead of diving into multitasking. That it really depends on the tasks that you are doing. Like, for example, you could watch this video and multitask at the same time by hitting the thumbs up button if you are enjoying the video. So if you're liking the video, then take a second to hit that thumbs up and like it. And if you haven't done so already, then also subscribe. You can also multitask by doing that. You can subscribe, like, and watch this video all at the same time. It's one of the few times in life where you could actually multitask. It's amazing how things just work out like that on my YouTube channel. So, and these are the things that you can come to expect on my YouTube channel. But talking about expectations, that is something that I have also eliminated from my life. I have basically decreased my expectations over a range of areas in my life. Like, for example, when I do favors for people, I expect nothing in return. When I give people gifts, I expect nothing in return. And I stopped trying to expect logical reactions from people. I stopped trying to expect logical actions from people. what makes sense to me, because what makes sense to me might not necessarily make sense to somebody else. So I think in my head, I'm like, okay, logically, that doesn't make sense. You shouldn't do things that way. I used to expect that of people a lot, and now I expect it a lot less, because that sort of thinking, it led to a lot of frustration, and it made me angry at the world and people, because I thought, if people only acted logically, right, then, we would have world peace and everything would be perfect and all that stuff. So I was very naive in thinking that way. And that also, it brought a lot of turmoil into my life. I let that aside and I quit assuming that others see things in the same way that I see them. And ever since I started to do that, I felt a lot more peace in my life, and I feel a lot less stress. Don't get me wrong, I love being productive, but something that I think has helped me a lot in simplifying my life is letting go of that need for constant productivity. I've decided that I work to enjoy life. What that means is defining what enjoy life means for you. So for me, it's watching movies, it's reading books, it's learning about history and culture and things that I'm interested in. It's cooking, it's traveling and trying new experiences, and it's spending time with friends and talking to new people and learning about fresh perspectives. And this is what enjoy life means to me. So what kind of productivity is going to lead me to enjoy life? I honor my rest days. I honor the times that I need to take breaks. And if I'm not feeling something, then I try to not push it. And I know that sometimes I'm going to have off days. Yesterday I was having an off day, and today I'm going to crush it, because I know that that is the balance of life. Sometimes you just don't feel right. Sometimes you just aren't as productive, and that's okay, because there's going to be other days where you're going to just absolutely crush it. So I think that respecting that natural rhythm is important towards simplifying life and all of that stuff. By the way, if you are resonating with any of the things that I've talked about in this video, then definitely let me know in the comments below so that we can engage in a little bit of conversation regarding these topics. When I entered my minimalist era, I think it's so ridiculous to say era, but whatever, it's really funny. So when I entered my minimalist era, I would overthink a lot of purchases, because I had a criteria for purchasing things. And I wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy, and there's just like a lot of stress that came in, because I was spending a lot of time on making minor decisions. Basically what I did was I just simplified the criteria, and I just decide a lot faster now. And if there's not a definitive yes, then it's probably a no. I use that rule now, and that really helps me to just make purchases quickly. And I'm not talking about impulse buys. I'm talking about not spending weeks or months, like thinking about whether I'm going to purchase something or not, like going through my criteria still, but my criteria is a lot more simplified, not overthinking stuff, because at the end of the day, like, we live in a modern age where I can easily return stuff, and it's really not a big deal. So when I think about that, I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to buy it. And then if I don't want it, if it's not what I needed, if it's not the right thing, then I'm going to return it. And that has simplified my life a lot. We're almost at the end here, which is incredible. I have been talking for like 30 minutes now. This is, I think we're on number 10, packed schedules. As someone who loves productivity and who likes being organized, I used to love having a packed schedule, because that made me feel like I was being productive. But really, I was just being busy, and busy does not mean productive. Busy doesn't always mean productive, right? I used to look at my calendar and see all of my time blocking and all the pretty colors and all that stuff. And I thought that I was getting stuff done, but really, I was not getting stuff done, because, I was getting stuff done, but it wasn't intentional, right? And I wasn't being being intentional with my time and the kind of tasks that I was doing. So now what I do is I focus on getting more done in less time. So I give myself a max amount of time that I work every single day. I try to give myself only 4 days to work out of the week. And I work more than that, but in my mind, I give myself that much time when I schedule things because that helps me to get more done because I feel like I have less time to do things. It's contradictory to like all the soft living and the stuff that I was saying earlier, I feel like, but it really isn't, because I feel like if I give myself less time to do things and I have more time to do the things that I like the me time. I give myself more me time. I feel like if I have less time to do a task, then I'm going to do the best that I can to get stuff done within that limited amount of time. Anyway, now I have a much looser structure and I have more space to breathe because I'm focusing on doing the most that I can in a limited amount of time so that I'm not completely filling up my schedule with unnecessary meetings and phone calls and time blocking and all that stuff. I don't need that anymore. This is the last thing on the list. It is perfection. I think it holds us all back from taking risks and from partaking in opportunities that could change our lives. We spend too much time trying to finish stuff and polish stuff because of perfection. So at least for me, it made me focus on the 80% that wasn't really producing the best results. And so now I've flipped that around and now I'm thinking, okay, well, what is producing the best results? And I want to focus on that. And sometimes that means Minecrafting it. Right? Like what I said before, sometimes you just got to release the beta. Done is better than perfect. I like to focus now on progress over perfection. I think that is enough talking for today. If you enjoyed this video, then you're probably going to love this other video where I discuss how to stop overthinking anything and start living that simple life. So if you want to check it out, then definitely click on that. And I'll also put a link somewhere down below. Simplifying life, it doesn't mean giving up everything. It just means creating space for the things that truly matter in your life. By letting go of the things that I mentioned in this video, I found more time and I had less stress and overall just a lot more peace. And so I encourage you to give quitting one of these things a try, or maybe do a little audit in your own life and see what you can let go of that is overcomplicating your life unnecessarily. Anyway, even letting go of one thing can make a big difference. So I hope this video inspired you, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and yada yada and all that stuff. All right, I'm gonna go now, so I will see you when I see you.